All right, so don't panic. Seriously, if you're ready for a bit of an unconventional journey, maybe grab your towel, stick out your thumb, because we're about to hitchhike right through the financial galaxy. Our destination, understanding one of its most essential and honestly most talked about concepts, the financial index.
You know that feeling when you're listening to the financial news and it's like you've just been dropped into a totally alien conversation? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. The whole financial universe can feel, well, vast and pretty intimidating. But the good news, we've got a guide for you.
I mean, this just sets the tone perfectly, right? We are not talking about dusty old textbooks here. We're diving into a universe where numbers literally dance. It's this super dynamic world where everything is constantly interacting with everything else. So let's figure out how this whole thing actually works.
Okay, so our journey's got to start somewhere. And that's by decoding the one core concept that makes everything else just click into place. It's time to take a look inside what we're calling the magic basket.
So, first things first, what even is an index? Look, let's forget all the super complex, jargony definitions for a second. Just picture a magic basket. That's it. Now, we fill this basket with a bunch of stuff. A representative sample of assets, like the stocks of the 500 biggest companies. And we do that just to see how they're all doing as a group. It's really just a snapshot, a tool for measuring the vibe of a part of the market.
And this simple idea, it connects directly to something you've probably heard a million times on the news. When some reporter says, "The market is up today," what are they actually talking about? Well, they're not talking about every single stock in existence. Nope. They're just pointing to one of these popular indices, our magic basket, and saying that on average, the stuff inside it is doing pretty well.
Okay, now this is a really important point, so listen up. An index, that's just the map. It's a hypothetical measuring stick. You can't actually buy the S&P 500 index itself. It's just a number, an idea. However, what you can buy is an index fund, and that is the actual investment, the vehicle that follows the map for you. And we're going to get into that a lot more in just a bit.
All right, so we know what an index is. It's a basket, a measuring stick. But why do we even care? What makes it so useful? Well, for our next stop, let's start thinking of it as the market's very own Sherlock Holmes, constantly uncovering hidden clues.
So how does this detective actually do its work? Well, it's kind of like financial wizardry, really. Think of each stock's price as an ingredient in a spell. But here's the trick. They don't all have the same amount of power. The bigger the company's market cap, which is just a fancy way of saying the total value of all its shares out there, the more weight, the more influence its price has on the whole index. What that means is, a giant company like Apple moving up by 1% has a way bigger impact than a much smaller company moving up by 1%.
I mean, let's be real. Who has the time to investigate thousands and thousands of individual stocks? Nobody, right? An index does all that detective work for us. It analyzes the key players and gives us the one essential clue we need. Is the market generally healthy, or is something a little off? It's elementary, my dear investor.
And these clues, they are incredibly valuable. For one, an index gives you a quick at-a-glance read on the market's overall health. It can also show you if one specific sector, like tech, is absolutely booming while maybe another is struggling. It even gives you hints about broader economic trends. And this is crucial, it gives you a benchmark to measure how your own investments are doing.
Okay, so all of this brings us to our final stop on this tour, the index fund adventure. We figured out what an index is, we've seen why it's such a powerful tool, so now let's talk about how you can actually get in on the action.
Now I'm going to say it again because it's so important to remember. You can't just go out and buy the market itself. An index is the map, right? It's not the actual destination. It's just a concept, not something you can, pick up off a shelf. But, and this is the whole point, while you can't buy the index itself, you absolutely can invest in an index fund. And this is the vehicle that lets you come along for the ride. So what is it? Well, an index fund is just an investment that's built to perfectly mirror a specific index. That's its only job. It buys all the stocks from that magic basket we talked about in all the right proportions, and then it just follows the ups and downs like a really dedicated roller coaster enthusiast. And there's a reason they've become so wildly popular. It's pretty simple. Over the long haul, very few professional stock pickers actually manage to consistently beat the market average that these funds just track.
And that right there really brings our whole journey together, doesn't it? In what can be a really chaotic, sometimes stormy world of investing, indices act like these simple, clear guides. They give us a point of reference, a way to navigate, and a real sense of direction when things start to feel overwhelming. So, hey, the next time you hear someone say, "The market is up," you're going to know exactly what that means. You'll picture the magic basket, you'll think of the financial Sherlock Holmes, you'll see that rainbow in the storm. You now have a guide to a really key part of the financial universe. So the only question left is, where is your adventure going to take you next?